저기 잠깐만. 나가지 말고 기다려. 응급조치해야 되니까. 왜 이렇게 약한 척해? 이제 시작인데. 기억해둬. 점점 끔찍해질 거야.
I Saw the Devil is a horror, thriller, drama, crime, action film that's written and directed by Jee-woon Kim. So I Saw the Devil came in a strong second place against Blade Runner in last week's poll, and this is another film that I've heard long before I actually put it up on this poll. On the contrary to a lot of the films that I actually put on these polls, like I said, this is a film that I have actually heard of for quite some time. I just never got around to it, but apparently this is a huge cult classic, a huge Korean classic type film. And as far as revenge thriller type films go, this is hailed as one of the best in the genre. So obviously I was taking all that into consideration before going into this film, which resulted in me having pretty high expectations for it. But first I want to say thank you to everybody who's been engaging in these polls, because they've been getting a lot of enthusiasm lately. And if you've been really enjoying these poll reviews, please make sure to give this video a like amongst all the other poll reviews that I've done so far, or just give some feedback in general, because that's the best way to know whether or not I'm actually doing all this shit right. So obviously for the past few months, I've been kind of on this Korean cinema binge, and I guess to be fair, it's mostly Bong Joon-ho, but most people would agree that Bong Joon-ho would probably be the best place to start when it comes to Korean cinema. He just makes creme de la creme filmmaking. And I've enjoyed all of his films thus far, especially Mother. If you haven't seen my Mother review, please check out that review. And if you haven't seen Mother in general, watch that. That is obviously up to this point. That is my favorite Korean film and my favorite Bong Joon-ho film so far. So obviously, I Saw the Devil is a huge film in Korean cinema, and really just in the film community in general. And like I said, it's been hailed as one of the best revenge thriller type films out there. So going into this, I was really, really pumped up for what I was about to see. Because there are certain revenge films that I really, really enjoy, like The Nightingale. I think that is a really, yes, it's really brutal and very hard to watch, but at the same time, I think it was also a really insightful and fresh take on the whole revenge genre. And even with Oldboy, like Oldboy, I haven't done a review for it. I will probably one day, but I've seen Oldboy, and that was a film that just really takes you for a ride and has these insane twists that you don't see coming, and I also felt was more of like a fresh take on the whole revenge thing. So after seeing I Saw the Devil, I can definitely see why people consider this to be a must-see recommendation when it comes to the revenge thrillers, and even when it just comes to Korean cinema, because let me start by saying that the production value of this film is some of the best production value that I've really ever seen. This entire film is incredibly crisp. And I mean everything from the cinematography, the sound design, the prop work, the special effects, the editing in general, and most of all, I don't know how many people really talk about this when it comes to this film. I'm sure tons of people talk about it, but the lighting in this film is absolutely incredible. This is an incredibly well-lit film. And I found this to be an incredibly colorful film as well, because it's not colorful in the more like in-your-face type of way, to where there's like a lot of just like neon colors everywhere. But every frame of this seems meticulously lit. Like in one area there'll be green, and then the top right corner of the screen is going to be red, and then in the middle there's like yellow. And this entire film feels incredibly detailed when it comes to the lighting, and it was just a visual treat to watch as it went along, because you could tell that the filmmakers behind this really cared about their craft and really cared about the production value. And it really just made this an incredibly enjoyable film to watch, because it's just so aesthetically pleasing. Now, as far as the actual content goes, some of it isn't the most pleasing, and I don't mean that like in a bad way. I just mean that there is some pretty brutal and gruesome shit in this film that, you know, I don't think everybody's going to be able to handle. Everything from just, straight up gore to, yes, sequences of sexual violence and rape. I mean, I'm not going to say that, like, it include, like, you actually visually see rape happening, per se, but, just the way that it portrays certain sexual violence situations can be very, very tough to watch. And kind of on that note, the actor that has to play the character that portrays all of these disgusting but convincing events, his name is Min-Sik Choi, and he was also the main character in Oldboy. And I think he was the standout in this film. I think his acting ability is beyond proven because he has to portray a really sick and twisted psychopath, and I think he does it in an incredibly convincing way. So convincing, in fact, that there are some parts in this film that just really disgust you because of just how intense and how believable his performance is. So, huge props to him because the character that he has to portray in this is just beyond sick. But yeah, the content in this film, it can get really heavy. So, I would say definitely go into this with a trigger warning of some kind, because it gets pretty heavy. But to get to the revenge aspect of this film, I'll say that it was definitely unique and went in a way that I really didn't see coming. Because about not even halfway, I would say maybe at the beginning of the second act, something happens and you're just kind of like, where the hell is this film going to go from here? And it decides to do something that I guess I'm a little bit kind of mixed on at this point, but I have to admit that it was something that I didn't really predict, and it's something that I can at least give credit in terms of trying to be original and trying to be fresh with the whole revenge tale kind of thing. And I think it's set up in that way on purpose to try to get the viewer to, rethink the whole aspect of revenge and vengeance, and whether or not, it's justified. Where is someone going too far? When do you actually draw the line and say, okay, enough is enough? And I think that in terms of that aspect, I think that it was really insightful, and I can at least give it praise in the sense that it was at least trying to get the audience to ponder something about it, because there are some revenge flicks that don't really even try to do that, where the film just forces you to sympathize with the victim the entire time and the tragedy that happens to him, and you're just on board with whatever the hell he does after that. And as much as I love the John Wick films, with John Wick, I have to say they're not the most thought-provoking films. They don't really question the morality of the main character. They do in some way, but it doesn't really make you rethink the whole aspect of vengeance. I Saw the Devil definitely attempts to do that, and I think that's something that is worthy of praise, because even though, again, I kind of have mixed feelings on its approach, at least it was trying to get the audience to do something that was maybe a bit different. But the reason why I say that I kind of have mixed feelings on it is because it's set up in a way to where the main character is doing certain things that is not only just morally questionable, that I can forgive because I understand that's the point, but they come off a bit too dumb and too irresponsible, and it's kind of hard to really latch yourself onto any character after that point. And maybe some people were like, no, I totally understood where he was coming from, and I do to a certain degree, but something about the setup just made me dislike the main character maybe a little bit too much. It just hits a point to where it's just you're really unlikable right now, dude. I want to try to like you, but it's getting really hard to do that. But at the same time, it's I totally get that was more than likely what the film was trying to do. It doesn't really want you to like the main character fully. But when the film goes on for honestly a pretty long time, because that's kind of another thing that I'm kind of mixed on, was the length of his film. It's a good 2 hours and 30 minutes, roughly. It goes on for quite some time. And it's how long am I expected to really care about what's happening? And it's only because of the kind of lengths that the main character goes through, the kind of actions, and just flat out dumb and irresponsible decisions that are made through the main character. And one other thing about this film that kind of bugged me, as honestly, any film that does this, it will bug me. There are moments to where certain things are reiterated in the film, in terms of things that characters said, or certain thematic elements of the film, and I just didn't see the point of it. It just felt like another one of those moments that You know, the filmmaker is just really trying to force feed this to the audience to make sure that they understand what is happening. And I just wasn't a fan of that type of stuff. And it's one of the reasons why sometimes I'm a little hesitant to watch really any animes, is because in a lot of animes, it's incredibly exposition heavy, and they feel the need to really inform the audience on everything that's happening in terms of character information and plot information. And there were certain moments in this film that kind of reminded me of that, to where it would just remind and reiterate to the audience about something that happened and something that a character said, and it literally just happened 2 minutes ago, and then it would reiterate it again. And it's like, it was kind of rough, because there were moments that, like, it visually conveyed like something that, you know, the audience can infer just by the visuals, and then it would reiterate like a flashback about what something that a character said, and I was like, oh, like, it would just kind of take me out of the film a little bit, because it just felt completely unnecessary. But to be fair to the film, this didn't happen often really at all. Also, there's only maybe 2 or 3 parts in the film where this occurred, but this film offers so much that it's hard not to appreciate all the aspects of this film, because even though I do have some problems with the writing and some of the direction, I still think they're really solid aspects of the film. I think the production value of this film, in terms of the lighting, the cinematography, and just the overall sound editing and the editing in general, are incredibly top tier. Like, this is some crisp shit, one of the crispest movies that I've ever seen in my entire life. And I do appreciate the fact that it did try to take a more thought-provoking angle to the whole revenge thriller type thing. And even though there are some aspects of it that kind of bothered me and took me out, there's so much that this film offers, and there's so much about this film to really appreciate and respect. So I'm going to give I Saw the Devil an 8 out of 10. I hope I didn't really upset anybody out there, because doing these types of films is kind of dangerous, and you kind of have to tread lightly, because there are so many people that really love these films. And you know, sometimes if you don't just talk greatly about them and talk about how just amazing they were, and talk about how much of a masterpiece they were, sometimes people can just get really put off by that and just lose respect for you. But I hope that's not the case. I hope you guys still really enjoyed my take on this. And just in case some of you guys didn't see my post today, I'm unfortunately only going to be able to review this film this weekend. I know I said I was going to review both I Saw the Devil and The Wailing, but I've just been so caught up in post-production of my short film that I didn't really get the time to watch The Wailing. But I promise I will watch The Wailing next week and get you a review for that next week. But do be on the lookout for another poll, because I will be putting out a poll after I upload this video. So if you've already watched this video, I would recommend going to my channel and looking for that poll, because I'm going to do my best to review The Wailing and this poll's winner. So I hope you guys really enjoyed my take on I Saw the Devil. If you did, please give this video a thumbs up and share it amongst your friends. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel to be updated on more film-related content.